because they were both right. Different opinions, different things. Now, until we look at eldership in Africa, which is the basis of eldership, and how in spite of slavery we brought it to the United States and lived it out, how culture continuity held the people in the Caribbean islands together until they stopped being African people and became black Britons and black French and black Portuguese and black Spanish and black Dutch and black everything but Africa, until they forgot that wherever the body of an African person is on the face of the earth, the heartbeat of every African on the face of the earth is in Africa. One thing the European is clear about, his cultural and political heartbeat is in Europe. If you didn't understand it up until a few years ago, you've got no excuse for not understanding it now. And if you have gone like Saturday night, ladies of the evening, searching out European solutions for your problem, you now know how wrong you are, because Europeans have no solutions for European problems. Both capitalism and communism has failed. Democracy and Christianity has failed. I'm not saying I don't believe and you can't use any of them. You can use all of them, but if you use only a European interpretation of them, then they will fail for you too. You must bring your own interpretation and your own concept to everything. Then you have to ask some questions about African culture. Why is it that over half of human history was over before Africans knew that a European was in the world? How is it that Africans can build enduring societies that last thousands of years? They didn't have a jail system or a word in their language that meant jail. How is it that the African had great spirituality and had no word in their language that meant G-O-D, God? And yet, he was more spiritual in his approach to the universe than the European has ever been or could be. At what point do we stop this mental prostitution around religions that are man-made and man-oriented by foreigners, and realize that spirituality is the supreme need of all the people who walk this earth, and that all of them can do without? And that all religion is artificial. When you look at the major organized religions of the world, they are all male chauvinist murder cults. When you deserted your system controlled by elders, where the elder was literally the Supreme Court of your family, and began to go into this civil nonsense of the Europeans, You missed the point because the court system, the customary court system, was not based on European-type evidence. It was based on whether you violated the custom that governs the entire group. And if you violated the custom that governs the entire group, then you have endangered the whole group. And the entire group have a right to call you to task. The leader, the court was the elders. The electing of a king was the elders, the elder women, the elder men. And yet the lowest and the youngest person could communicate and get his word passed forward. The Africans never used the word democracy, and yet he was democratic. He never found any religious fakery and shouted to the world, "I am my brother's keeper." He just kept it. Because if you have to say, "I am my brother's keeper," I suspect you don't want to keep it. It is time that we study these old systems and study our own family and how we use the concept of the elders in our family. We have not examined our own family. We will use it. We brought the system over. We didn't forget it. We didn't discard it. You remember the days when, no, most of you are not as old as I am. I keep forgetting that. I'm fortunate enough I'm 70 and holding, and I've been holding a few years. But there was a time when the annual visit to grandma was something so desired. If a little boy would start cutting up, say, "If you don't behave yourself, I ain't going to take you to grandma," he'd straighten up and get his little self together. Because he knew he'd go into grandma and those special hugs, special cookies, the little thing that grandma had fixed for him during the interim, you know, little pants, she sewed something special for him, made a little shirt for him. I mean, a visit to grandma, the elder, and to grandpa, who you're going to fiddle around with him and joke around, josh him around and carry him on his head. I mean, the visit to grandma and grandpa was a great event in a child's life. Now, where you going to visit grandma? In a nursing home? Is she depressed? You got a 3-room apartment. Where your grandma going to stay? You're civilized now. You got rid of the one thing that would have done you more good, because she related to the children. She related to you. She related to all those nieces and nephews. And she could pull a girl aside and know whether she's misbehaving or not and ask her the obvious questions. Tell her, "Don't let that boy touch you in a certain way now." In other words, keep your dress down. And grandma can say it in such a way, you be afraid to think about it. See what we have lost here in this country, the whole concept of eldership. Now, the most successful slave revolts that we've developed outside of Africa was really in the Caribbean islands. And you study Boukman in the Haitian Revolt, you study eldership. Study Kojo in the Maroon Revolt in Jamaica, you study eldership. Study Kofi in the Babis Revolt in Guyana, you study eldership. Then you go to Africa and you study eldership again that continues. When you study the Zulu Wars, you study Mzela Giza broke from Clarke to find the second Zulu empire. And when he made that decision to move over the Drakensberg Mountains, and he suddenly discovered that he had spoken without the consent of the elders, and he prostrated himself. He fell on his feet, on his stomach, and begged forgiveness and said to the old men, I have spoken like a child. I have made a decision without consulting my fathers. My eyes are weak, you know. It means I'm crying. This man, a warrior strong enough to break from Clarke, one of the great natural warriors of all time. Strong enough to start the second Zulu Empire, and yet he had made a decision without consulting his elders. And finally, when they gave him permission, and he took that army over and found the second Zulu Empire, here you see eldership at its traditionally best. And when, after the death of Clarke's mother, and the Zulus are patrilineal as against matrilineal. In most African people, the lineage comes down through the female side. The Zulus are different. Comes down through the male side. And yet, when Clarke said that there'd be no crops planted for the year in memory of his mother, that was all right. 15,000 people would guard her grave for a year. That was all right. There'd be no laughter. He would punish people for even laughing for a year. They took that. He'd maim the cows so the cows would mourn. That was all right. No matter how this sounds with to your Western mind, this is one of the greatest tributes a man ever paid to the woman who gave him birth. But when he said no cohabitation for a year, the old women said, the elder women said, our king is crazy. We must get rid of him now. And in a patrilineal society, the women made the decision to ceremoniously put Clarke to death. The importance is the fact that the decision to ceremoniously put Clarke to death was made by women, the old women, the elder women in the group. Now you see how African eldership operates